Today we have with us Simone Alva. She's a visual designer and an art director based in New York, and she works across strategy design and storytelling and identity design as well. And she's also an NID alumna. Welcome, Simone. It's great to have you here. How are you?
I'm good. Excited to be here.
Awesome, awesome. Okay. So,
Yeah.
what was your life in NID like? You've done your bachelor's in graphic design there, right?
Yes, life in NID was incredible. Every day was different. I think everyone has a different experience, but I had a great time. I had amazing faculty, great friends, a lot to learn. Yeah, it was great. Was there anything more specific you wanted to know, or just in general,
Yeah,
what was it like?
maybe your most memorable experience from NID?
Um, so many, but I think it could be anywhere from like sitting in GD and doing typography at like 12 in the night, or like being sitting on the balcony with my friends, or like being in the Eames, the BMW. Also, like once a bunch of langurs came into our class and changed our drapery when we were drawing for
Oh my
like drawing and
God.
visualization. Yeah, and then we didn't know what to do. And then Suresh, who was our faculty, came in and told us, like, why didn't you draw the langurs as well? And we were just like, so things like
Wow,
that. Yeah, yeah.
great. How did you know that graphic design was, your calling?
I didn't know it was my calling. I didn't even know what it really was before I came to NID. And then we had that foundation orientation where they tell you about all of the disciplines.
Yeah,
And graphic design just felt closer to what I always sort of had been doing as a child, or like I just felt
right.
like that would be a good fit for me at that time. I think I really understood what it was once I got into the discipline and really did more courses, and then really found myself liking it a lot. And then over the years, with projects, with internships, and all, it just became like it just started feeling righter and right, like it just started feeling more correct.
Awesome. Um, you've also gone for exchange in your third year, if I'm not wrong. Um, what was that experience like?
I went to ESAD, which was in Reims in France, like 30 to 40 minutes from Paris. It was very different. It was exciting to study design in another country, and also like classes used to happen in French. So just being in an environment where you're trying as much as you can to understand and like reciprocate and like create work according, like that whole experience like just made me like taught me a lot. Also like a lot apart from the work, it's about living by yourself and like experiencing like design somewhere else, which was exciting. The It was similar in this, like it was similar to NID in the sense of what we did and like what we were trying to achieve, but
Right.
the courses and it was structured slightly differently. And their program was 3 years long versus ours is longer. So like you were kind of in your final year and third year itself. So like the kind of work that we were doing was different. Like and they were so yeah, I think it was fun all in all. It it I started like when I came back, I was more excited to be at NID just because of like all that I had done there, and then also be able to connect it to what I could do back home.
Um, Great. You did World Skills and you also represented India, right? Was this after you came back from exchange or before?
Right. So the World Skills process started with an India elimination sort of round. So they had to pick like an all India candidate, like a candidate that came from across India. And Lopez Design was in charge of like was like Anthony was going to be the mentor for World Skills that year. So they were really on the hunt and like they did competitions across and they were figuring out who to rep, like who should go for the World Skills at Abu Dhabi. And I think somebody submitted my portfolio from NID, me and like 4 or 5 of us. And then we had this first competition. It's very strange when you compete for graphic design because you have a specific time limit and you have to turn out a brief in like 4 hours and 6 hours, and you get
Wow.
judged and yeah, it's like you have negative marking for if you don't give the correct bleed. Yeah, that was like what World Skills was like. And I was just like, I'm used to doing design project for a few months. Like, what is going on? But like, that was the pace, and I had to like get with it and adjust, which was great, which is a different experience. A batchmate of mine and another friend of mine, all of us went for that, and we tried out the first round. Then I had to do an elimination with another competitor, and that kept happening. And then I finally got
Okay.
selected, and then I was being trained.
Awesome.
Um, yeah, and NID was really supportive. They allowed me to like like take some time in the semester and go to Delhi and train with Anthony over there. And then I went to Russia for a pre-final in Moscow. And then I went to Abu Dhabi in 2017, and that's where I won a Medallion of Excellence for graphic design.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow. Quite a journey.
yeah.
Um, would you say the World Skills competition, added something to your work process and your style of working now?
I think I have a lot of confidence if I have to work fast. But that also, I think the vigor really came from NID, but the whole Worskers experience, it was just different, I would say. And I was just excited. I never thought you could represent India for graphic design. Just the thought of that was exciting, and I was glad that I was able to do that. And then next year, we also had another competitor, the year after, from my batch, Shweta, who won a medal, which was really exciting because I think we were the first female candidates for graphic design. Before that, it had only been, like
Wow,
guys who had represented the country. But yeah.
really cool. So Simone, we have a question from the audience. What is your advice for like current graphic design students?
Do an internship every summer, every vacation, every break. Yes, take time off, spend time with your family, but do that because that will help you narrow down what you want to do. It will also, like, school is great and you get to explore and experiment and like really push yourself. But when you're in an internship setting, you finally get to apply things and you're working on a real like client work or like, depends on where you intern.
Right.
And I would also say that really use your time well because you never know, you don't know where these 4 years go, and never say never. Like be open to like whatever design or visual design has to offer because the field itself changes a lot. So if you have an itch about motion or 3D or UX or whatever else, like feel free to try it out and like see like because I mean, I think NID also encourages that kind of experimentation, like in your projects or whatever. So really use that to your benefit. And reach out to other designers. Like they're always excited because they've been there. So when you tell people that, hey, I want your opinion or I would like your feedback or I want to work with you, they're not good. Like worst comes to worst, they won't reply to you, but it's always worth a shot.
Yeah. Also, in terms of interning, how does one identify a good firm to intern with? Because
I think it's a mix of things. Like you would see some people who have probably interned there and what their experience was like. You also see the work that that place is making. Does that align with you? Do you want to make that kind of work? Do you want to learn that kind of process? What about that place is exciting? Maybe the person who has founded it, you really look up to them. You look up to their career. It could be like various factors. And not every internship hits all of them, or like, it's not going to be perfect, but you should, like, these are different experiences.
yeah,
So that so there's no like right way of doing this, or there's no like set thing you should look for, but you should also look for like, it's always great to have a place that's invested in teaching you something. They're like, you're an intern, and that'll come with time. The more time you spend with them, the more responsibility they'll give you, the more you'll be able to learn. But small things like that, and you'll be able to tell by their websites or wherever you're coming across the studio.
okay. Um, Also, one last question about your college life. How did you improve the skills that weren't taught in college, but you had to do it in that time span? Because you just got out of college, but you're at such a good position and you're working with all these amazing brands.
I think what, and that's something that what I held close to me from college was that when you're in foundation, you don't know how to work with materials. You don't know how to work in composition. You don't understand any of these things. You start doing it. So just that attitude of being thrown into a class and then picking it up and then doing it well in 3 weeks is like something that you should keep with you. So if you feel like I wanna, like I somewhere felt like branding was close to my heart. I wanted to try it out. I was really interested in it, and that's why like I worked in those places that aligned with that. But I spent time to learn like things like InDesign, like whatever the tools or the softwares that I needed to learn. Even when I started learning 3D, it didn't come from, no one asked me to learn it. I was just like, I want to probably make better mockups but I went down a totally different path with that. And that's the thing, right? Because design software changes so much. Like every year or every 2 years, somebody's making something new.
Hmm.
To like, and it's very like on the go. It's very like problem solving. So you're like trying to figure out what works best in that budget and that time. So you just have to learn to be flexible. So you're never going to learn all of the skills you need and leave college with like, oh, I'm ready to take on the world because tomorrow your software or whatever you think you know is going to change, you know? So yeah.
Yes. Okay. Have you worked for exposure as an intern, or do you think paid internship is worth the exposure? Okay, what was that
I
question?
haven't worked for exposure. I've like been my experiences have like I've been compensated whenever I was interning with people. Um, I don't know. Like I don't know if you should do that or that makes sense for you. Um, like your time is valuable. Like the time that you would give to an internship, you could put that time into learning a new software and
Hmm.
and that would maybe land you more projects and more work and more money. So you would lose money somewhere. Just think of it that way. And when you're working for someone, it's good to have something coming back. So you know that you have some sort of like reward system and like even if it's not a lot of money, it's something and like just somebody's giving you something for your work is it's good. It's just like a sense of like, okay, this feels good. Like you as just as a person working for someone, you just feel better about it, I think. So I don't think exposure like can match up to that. Like it's not sustainable, I would say.
Another question: are you from India because you received the TDC scholarship, which is only for the people from USA?
Um, I don't think I received the TDC scholarship. I received the ADC scholarship, which was like the One Club of Creativity scholarship. I received a TDC award. About the ADC scholarship, yes, I'm from India. I grew up in Mumbai. I went to design school in NID. I was the first person out of America to get the ADC scholarship. Not sure
Wow.
if it wasn't open at that time. It's called the Patrick Kelly Scholarship. If you're a student, always keep your eyes open. It's like it's a good time to apply for these things. I also got a HLR scholarship, which is mainly for female creatives, but the Patrick Kelly scholarship is open. And I was the only like even if you check that list, I think I'm the only like person. So yeah, it is it does seem like that, but yeah, in its history of 20 years, I was the first to get it from outside America.
Okay. But it's so cool that you're the first Indian to get that scholarship.
Yeah.
Um, One last question. How to contextualize side projects or find inspiration for them? Do you suggest any quick exercises to get started?
I mean, so the thing with side projects is that what's your real aim here? Like, do you just want to learn a skill to have fun and like, because with a lot of people who do design, you take a drawing or painting or whatever we used to be a hobby, and then you made it into a job and now it's your career. So what do you do for fun anymore? So if there's something that you just do for fun, don't really think of like making it something. But I like in my case when I started doing 3D, there was somebody else who saw value in what I was doing and like saw this like as an illustration style. I was having fun. I was just making shapes and experimenting. So like but if you're doing a side project with like, okay, I want to make this, I want to put this in my portfolio, think of why somebody would hire you for that. Like if it's an illustration, if it's a visual system, if it's a motion graphics video, whatever you're doing, just like make sense of it because people are great at connecting the dots. If someone sees that you can do this for this context, they will hire you and you can do it for another context. But just make sure that you make it evident that this is something that you can do well, and it's a skill that you can deliver on, you know. You just need to make that part visible or evident in however you're presenting your work.
Now moving on to your work, your current work, what is your process like?
It varies. If I'm in a like if I'm working on a longer branding identity project with like which has strategy and all of that happening, it's spread over a few months. It starts with my process actually changes based on where I'm working and who I'm working with. So at the studio currently it starts with like we have kickoff meetings, and that's pretty regular across different places. Like and once you get a brief and you figure out, sometimes you're part of making that brief, sometimes you receive a brief that's already pretty set, and you would explore what would make sense. So at the studio, because there are multiple designers right now, I work on my like a direction that's like that would be sent as an option. Sometimes when I'm working by myself, I have to work on multiple directions so that the clients that I'm working with can see viable options and have enough to choose from. But then it's really like iterative. It's very collaborative. You talk to the person you're designing for. You talk to the people they're gonna eventually show what you're designing to. Like they're gonna sell it or they whatever their business goal is. Um, yeah, and I think it's very like it's very organic, I would say. There's no
Flexible,
like
yeah.
yeah, and I think things change a lot. It's over time it's also become more about getting people on the same page before starting so you don't waste time. So you can do that through mood boards or workshops or whatever. So yeah.
Okay, great. Would you like to share a little about your favorite project?
So all of the work that I've been doing over the past year is confidential and it'll come out when it comes out, and I'm excited for that. But I can talk about some of my work that's out there. That's the 3D illustration work because that comes out almost every other week. Um, it's one of my favorite projects. Was the first one I made. I didn't really know how to take like a concept or a blurb or text and turn that into an image that had to resonate with a piece of news. It was about Slack replacing email. And I had worked on the Slack branding when I was an intern at Pentagram. So it was just like, it just made, like, I was pretty used to the shape and the form. And for me to translate that into 3D made sense. So that was the first time I did it. And that kind of set into motion this whole, like, 3D, like, body of work that I've been able to build. I also really enjoyed working with Adobe. So they came to me to create like a visual or a brand system using 3D in the as a centerpiece, and then also like reinterpreting what like art looks like, but in a 3D in a 3D space. And I was able to present that at Adobe Max in 2019, which happens in LA.
Wow. Okay. There's a recurring question here. How did you get into Pentagram? How did you get a chance to work with Pentagram, and how can we do that? Yeah.
I think with any place, and this has been me when I wanted to intern at co-design, which is in Gurgaon. I reached out to them in second year and I was like, I want to work with you. But like they like usually hire people who are in third year, and they remembered me, and they when I reached out in third year, I think the point is to reach out. Um, and sometimes the timing is right, the work fits, everything makes sense and it works out. And it's a lot of other factors. But even with the studio that I'm at currently, I had reached out to them several times, and then I did a freelance project and then ended up working with them. But with Pentagram specifically, I was looking for an internship that lasted like a couple of months, like 4 to 6 months, and I was looking at options in India as well. I had like done placements and everything, but somebody who I'm pretty close to from like who's a senior, who's my third year, told me that why don't you try applying outside? You might just get in, like you never know. And I heard of this concept of people doing their internships in like abroad, but I was like, okay, let me try it out. Um, and when I just emailed Michael Beirut my portfolio, and it went from there. And he replied to me, and I thought it was the email had bounced back, but he was kind enough to take the time and respond to me. And then I interviewed with his team, and that's how I ended up going there. But it was as straightforward as applying for any other job or internship, really.
Okay. Can you tell us a little about your freelance work and how you select and reject projects? Like, on what basis?
Right. I think for illustration, I usually like there was a point when I was just getting my work out there. I would email people every other week, art directors
Hmm.
mainly, and show them my 3D work and tell them that, hey, if you have a story that, fits the style, fits whatever's coming up, like I would love to work on it. It was a lot of like um, emails on Sunday that I would do twice a month maybe. But now it's come to a point where if my style is out there, people recognize my work, so I don't have to do it as frequently. People reach out to me, and I really enjoy it because it's different from my everyday branding visual system sort of work.
Hmm.
If I'm doing a branding or like a graphic design heavy freelance project, I think I see what the client's business is like, and if I can really align with that, and if I feel excited by it, because I want to take it on if I can really contribute and really like help them do something exciting that probably I wouldn't be able, probably like I wouldn't be able to do otherwise. So I think it's the
Hmm.
opportunity and like what can really happen in that space that excites me.
When do you think your career took off? Was there a specific moment or a project?
I don't know if it's like taken off. It's going where it is. No, I don't think there was a specific moment. I think it's a culmination. It's all the work
Hmm.
that I mean, I used to be that person who used to go, and this is just out of fun and like because I love doing that. I would go to the studio at 8 a.m. and sit there alone and do work, like just because I liked it. This was Saturday, Sunday, and anyone who's known me at NID knows. Like all the kakas knew this, everyone knew this, and I just really enjoyed it. And I think it's that practice when nobody else is looking, when I wasn't being featured, when I was in first year and second year was what suddenly like fell into place one day and everyone was like, oh yeah, let's work with this person. She seems like, she can do this. So I think I don't think it's like one day everything just changes overnight. It's just like
Hmm.
it's like this commitment. Like even I have a project from second year that's in my portfolio right now. Um, but I just always was like, no, I want to make something of this. I want to make, like, I love this a lot. I'm here. I want to make this happen. So I think just being committed every day and then suddenly things will just surprise you one day. It's worked for me. I don't know if that works for everyone, but yeah.
So a commitment. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you look forward to in the coming years regarding your career?
I
Any,
look forward to working on more interesting challenges and like working on projects that are bigger scale.
hmm.
I and challenges can be of any type, like different industries, like different types of clients, like what are those clients trying to achieve and like those things. And then I'm also looking to grow into a more senior role over the next few years and like also look at like the relationship between design and technology and business. Like so that's kind of where my I want to focus at. But always like coming at it from a human perspective with insight and like storytelling.
Awesome. Um, how is visual designing different from graphic and film and video communication?
So how is visual design different from graphic design and like how are all three of them different or like
I think how is that different from graphic and FVC as a set? Okay, I'm
I
having some.
think I think graphic and visual communication would be a closer set and then FVC would be a set on its own.
Hmm.
Um, I think it's quite different. Like FEC is, I haven't studied it. I haven't worked in that medium, so I wouldn't know a lot. But
Yeah.
it's a different way of
Maybe you could
approaching
tell us about how visual
storytelling.
design is
Yeah,
different from graphic design. Yeah.
yeah, maybe that would be better. There isn't a big difference. I think it's just also like job titles are so different. Like I think visual design keeps it just more ambiguous or more um I mean, depends on what all you do at work. So I do a lot of 3D, I do brands, and like I do like a mix of all of these things. So it makes sense for me to be visual design. I'm also open to like product or like UI or UX design. But I think it's the connotation of it. So you could be, and these are you can use these interchangeably pretty much. So there isn't like, and these, I think you grow from one skill to the other really. So there isn't like a huge difference that way.
Um, Devana Design is asking how working in New York is different from India.
I haven't worked full time in India. I've only done internships, so I think it would be unfair, like for me to like make a blanket statement that way. Working in New York is, well, I moved here in a very strange year. I moved here very close to 2020, full time. Like I was previously here for shorter periods. I've enjoyed it. I think it's also because of where I work and the kind of work that happens there and the kind of people I work with. I've been fortunate to work with people that I looked up to and like they were happy to like take a chance on me and work with me. I also think that in New York, I don't know if it's a New York thing or if it's a thing here that people are just very open to like trying out things and like really putting yourself like out there. Like it's very like, okay, if this is a good idea, let's figure out how to make this happen. I'm sure that happens in India too, but I'm specifically talking about my experience here.
Uh, Devana, I hope that answers your question. The Soul Working is asking how did you make it to Forbes and what was the process behind it?
So the first time they reached out to me, this was right after World Skills, and I think this is a process that Forbes does. They just keep an eye out on like young people who are in their fields and who are probably like showing significant potential. And they have a vetting process, so they reach out to people that are around you to like ask them about you. And I don't know too much about it, but I think that's how they go about it. There's a short list, and somebody can nominate you. I think that's how it happens. It's not something you could also apply and nominate yourself, but it's not something that I had planned. It was just something that happened, and I'm humbled that I was included on that list.
Simone, on a different note, like you were talking about how you really enjoy type design and brand and identity, and you were talking about how they're all very different yet similar. Do you think type design is too much of a different set that it doesn't belong under graphic design, or do you think it belongs under visual design? What is your take on that?
I don't know if it's different or like there are these different tech sets and factions and like things like that. I think when a person like a regular human being who's not a designer or like a consumer or the end person sees all of this, they don't really think of, oh, this person made this or this,
Huh.
like yeah, it's design. It's either well designed, it helps them achieve what they were trying to do. So I think it's really about what you want to do. If you want to do only type design, then that's something that a path that you choose to go down. Or if you want to do graphic design, then that's what you do. If you want to do both, you can do both. You can and that way like different disciplines, but then it all falls under like design that you can see that's visual. So I would say that it's all like under the same umbrella. It's
Yeah,
different from like industrial design or textile design that way, you
true.
know.
Yeah, right. Do you have any reading recommendations or a foundry you love and would love to share?
Like a type foundry.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe a type foundry and
Um,
reading recommendations.
Reading, I mean, so many like design book. I mean, design books are great, but also like I really enjoy reading strategy books. So there's this one book called Playing to Win. It's about like how companies came up with different products to make sense and like from a strategic point of view. So I don't know if it 100% applies to design, but it just helps me. I also listen to podcasts. So how I built this is really great. It tells you about how different like startups were born and like what was the thought process, like who came up with the idea and like how did that happen? Other books that I would recommend, like that are more design specific, I really enjoyed reading How To by Michael Beirut. It just felt like it's a big book, with a lot of images, but it just felt like such a conversational read. It didn't feel like it was too heavy. Like it just felt nice to read it. Also, Dekho, which is authored by Co-Design, it just gives you a perspective into like design that was happening in India at that time. And again, it also feels very conversational. It almost feels like it feels so like personal because there's so many like different illustrations and stories and all happening within that book. So these would be some of my recommendations.
Okay, great. In your opinion, what are the underrated courses in graphic design and the
Is this
surprising lessons you got?
is this NID specific or
Um,
I
Mitti
think so.
Menon, could you please?
Yeah, it may be NID specific. Some of the underrated graphic design courses were this course that we have with Rupesh Vyas. It was called Experimental Poster Design. It was an elective, and we just had to make a poster without doing it on the computer. So you could do anything, and just make it was like an experiential poster, if you may. So people made like they made like models, they made sculptures. Uh, like my friend Madhvi made like she made a video and she put sugar and the ants came and ate some of the sugar. So it was like a time lapse with that, which was like typography through that, which is really interesting. I made like a science experiment about like rehydration and like so it was different things. I think that was very underrated because we didn't expect anything going in, but it really helped us push so much. Like we thought about things like in such a different way because till that point everything was like, okay, you're in a software making things. I also think typography is so underrated. You don't take it like when you learn it or like when Tarun taught it to us, it really comes back to you now. You know, like you think back and then things you just realize why are you making these decisions and why are they coming easily to you? It's because of like those experiences that you've had, or like, you know, when you have to stick shapes together or like stick type together, like that's when you notice like an extra white space somewhere. So yeah, it would be those for me.
Okay. Um, can you please share your experience with Michael Bureau? I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right.
Beirut.
Yeah, Bureau.
It was my experience at Paragram was interesting. I was starstruck initially because I didn't ever expect this like to work in the same environment as some of the most like prolific designers in the American world and like in American graphic design. And he was just like really nice and like it was just like it was a good experience. Like I worked with really nice people. I learned a lot. He was very welcoming and he was very kind throughout the whole thing. I never felt like I had moved a country, so it was a big change for me. But at work, I didn't feel like that at all. I felt very welcomed. Um, I felt like this wasn't too different. Like it just felt like an internship I was probably doing in India. It didn't feel as alien or as like jarring.
Okay. I hope that answers your question, Anubhav. Um, oh my god, the questions are just pouring in at this point. How
Okay.
can one learn motion graphics by themselves as a self-taught process?
Not the best person to ask because I haven't done too much of it, but you should check out Utkarsh Chaturvedi, who was a batchmate of mine. Taught her like he was interested in it throughout college, but he really got into it and like he's taught it to himself pretty much. So like yeah, but I think tutorials that would be my best guess. It's like how you learn any other software. And just like committing to like okay, getting better at that every other day.
Okay. I hope that answers your question. Isn't it a problem when you don't know what you want to do?
Wow, we got like heavy. Um,
Yeah.
I think okay. I think if I think it's a problem. I think you know somewhere everybody knows somewhere when you're doing something and if you're like not feeling it at all, you know. So I think just listen to yourself more and maybe drown out because I think your everyone around you, society, family, friends, they may have opinions of what you should do and what makes sense, and sometimes that could confuse you, but your relationship with your life and your work is going to be the longest. Like it's only you and what you do pretty much. No one else can do it for you. So I think just pay more attention to what you want to do and what makes you happy, and like, and whatever, be honest to yourself, like why are you doing what you're doing? If it's money, then just go for that. Or if it's like the joy of work, go for that. Like just like talk to yourself more. Then it's not a problem.
Okay, Avantika, I hope you got your answer. Um, Ghania is asking advice for someone who is studying under a teacher that is blocking their creative growth.
Um, I think a teacher or a mentor or whoever you work with, it's an opinion and they do come with their experience and like they're trying to teach you something, but nobody is stopping you from making that extra iteration that doesn't block your creative growth. You know, you can do it one way that somebody thinks is correct and that's the way you should do it. But I mean, you will have people who will tell you your work is good, bad, whatever, but that doesn't mean you stop making it, you know? So it's fine. You just make the other one for yourself and you make one for the teacher, and then you're both happy. You get your grade and you
Yeah,
get a good portfolio. So, yeah.
right. How important is it to go to art school?
I think art school, at least for me, design school gave me, I wouldn't know how to go about learning design by myself. Also, because I went there at a younger age. I was 18 when I joined. So I think if you can figure it out, if you have a sense of like, okay, I know how to learn these things on my own, I have a good sense of what like what the elements of design, the fundamentals of design are, I can do it.
Right.
You don't need it then. But for me, I grew from it a lot. I also think that design school was not about only design. It was about meeting all of these amazing people. It was about like having that NID experience like that happened over time. Like it wasn't, I didn't I didn't embrace it right when I got there. It's a big change. But it was a lot of these other factors. It was also like building a foundation and like just like I think the first year and the years that come after that, they teach you things that you wouldn't really think of learning on your own. You know, so it's if you have the time and if you have the resources, maybe it's worth a shot because it'll just push you to explore things you probably wouldn't. Like on your own, you would just try things that you enjoy or that you understand or like you're comfortable with.
Right. What sort of research goes into your work? Absolutely love your work. That was the question.
I think it depends on the time I have and like the turnaround for the project and what's going on. But usually, for brand design work, there's a lot of like initial workshops, a visual audit that you do of like what's existing in the market for that, for your like of your competitors and where your product or like where whatever you're branding for is going to play, essentially. You would also do a lot of interviews with the people making decisions, like who okays the work finally. So you need to understand what their aspirations are for this, what is their vision, what are things that they are saying but they don't actually mean, and like because how that all of that will dictate how fast or like how smooth your design process is. Because it's not like you do it by yourself, everything happens. They have to like it has to go in tandem with them. And then if you're working on a specific concept that pulls from, like specific references, then you have to like do your due diligence and research that. So, like, does that make sense? Does that align well? Does that message well? And then, so it happens at different levels. But then you also have to have the just this, it'll come with time, but like this ability to be able to, because the work that we do comes from words that is in the form of a brief and has to translate into a visual. It's a little bit like Pictionary, but like a more complicated version. So you have to be able to like skim and make sense of, okay, this is what I need to get started, and this is like, this is all I need. Because if you go to research, you'll never really stop because there's so much.
Right. Yeah. What's your take on putting out your job work versus personal projects on social media?
If you put out work that you do at your job, always credit everybody, credit the studio, credit the team you're working with because you're not alone. credit the client, credit everybody in the process, talk about and align with whoever you're like if you're working for somebody and they've posted a certain way, align with that because that just is cleaner overall. If you're posting personal work, have fun with it. Like make a story about it. Like make, like you can present it however you want. You can go as crazy. But yeah, if you're doing both, and that happens with me sometimes, always call it out. You have captions, you have all of that to like talk about it. So yeah.
So we have a backup question for what's your idea of recreation? Yes. So when not working, then what do you like to indulge in? Okay, recreational
Got it.
activities.
Okay.
What inspires you?
So much. I've recently gotten into running and I truly enjoy it because as designers, we sit the whole day and you will feel it in some time. So everybody, please go run and work out and do yoga and do something. I also watch a lot of films, and this has been something I've been doing since before I came even started in design. I think it's like a book, but a book for your eyes that you see over a few hours. And it opens your world to so many because you can't be everywhere, see everything, go to every country, but you can through a film or through something you can really do that as
Experience
little as
it, yeah.
yeah. Um, yeah, and then I also like hanging out with like people and my friends and my family and um food. There's a lot. There's a lot. Yeah.
What was your learning from environmental perception?
Oh, oh wow. What a
EP.
blast from the past.
Yeah.
Um, so much like how to sit in a space in the sun and draw for 3 hours. But on a more serious note, like just observing and like journaling, but through visuals. And like, what do you capture? What are the observations? How do you be analytical? Like, you're not just drawing to, it's not DD, so you're not drawing to make it beautiful and perfect. You're drawing
Yeah.
to document. So there's a big difference. Also, like, being like how do you talk to people you don't know any you've just met them, you have to make conversation with them, you have to ask them if you can sketch them, you'll be spending time with them. How do you start doing that? And as a designer, it is about design and it's about what you put on the board and like what you put on the table, but like it's also about talking to people. So small bits of that came in an EP.
Right. How did you get to illustrate for the New York Magazine? How was your experience being an Indian designer?
I think that came about because I'd been doing a lot of illustration work anyway. So I think an art director saw my work and they thought that it would make sense for a story that they were doing. So they reached out to me and I ended up working on that. I got into illustration because somebody like an art director from the New York Times, just saw that this illustration style could become something. And ever since that, I started like following up and like trying to build more and more clients and like go and like get more and more publications to hire me because it's also like such diverse stories. It's and that really pushes you to think out of what you're used to. You can't always draw with people, you can't always draw conceptually, and it always has to communicate. How do I feel about being an Indian designer? I feel like all the other designers, like I guess it's just I'm from India, so that does influence how I think and how I've grown up and all of that. But I don't think it feels any different. Like when you're working on a brief, you're a designer pretty much. So I don't think it's specifically about me being Indian or anything.
Hmm. I hope that answers your question. One very interesting question. How do you find people or places that help you grow as a designer? I also want to know.
You keep your eyes open and you it was interesting. Like when I was in my first internship ever at EchoStream, I was listening to a podcast by Debbie Millman. It was called Design Matters, and the first episode I heard was of Michael Beirut. And I never ever thought I would work at Pentagram, but that was my first introduction to that. And then I heard Jessica's episode and then a bunch of other episodes. But I think just like keeping your eyes, I think when you search for something, you will find it. So if you're looking for design studios that are doing X, Y, Z kind of work, you will find it. Also, we have the internet now. So
Yeah.
you can find anyone and anybody. Everybody's online. Everybody has at least two, three accounts. Reaching out to people is not hard. I would just say that when you do, be very intentional and be polite and be courteous, but also be very specific about why you're reaching out. Like if you want to work with them, tell them. If you want to illustrate for them, tell them. Like people appreciate you being to the point and being like, so you're not wasting time.
Right. A follow-up question for that little bit about your film as your recreation. People want film suggestions.
Um, so many, but I recently watched Train to Busan for the first time, and I was very just blown away by how it's a film about zombies, but I cried at the end, so that means something. Like
Yeah.
it's always. And there's this one film called Wild Tales,
Hmm.
that somebody recommended to me, and then when I was at NID, we screened it at at Film Club. It's a fa Spanish film, really good, really exciting, keeps you on your feet. And then I love Bollywood and Indian films too. Like I'm really open to like whatever. So yeah, but I think these two really stood out to me. So yeah, also Stree, if anyone has seen it. So I really like horror movies, but I thought Stree was a really smart one for like that came from the Indian film industry. So you should check it out if you're into that. It's like a horror comedy, which is a genre which is always exciting. So yeah.
Why do you think it's a good one?
Because they made a lot of points by making you laugh and be scared at the same time. And that's tough, because like when that ghost showed up for a second, you were scared, but you were
Yeah.
still like ready to watch the whole thing. You were ready to commit. So yeah.
Yeah. I really like the Aadhaar card dialogue.
Joe. Yeah, I know, right? It was
Yeah.
so tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
सबका
all of
आधार
that.
लिंक है उसके पास and I started
Yeah.
laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it worth in terms of finance to move to America and practice graphic design than in India? By Shah Parikh.
I think it depends on what your financial situation is like. Some people do it through education. So they come here, they study. So you definitely put in some money and then you get a job. Either you try to recover that money or you don't need to, or like whatever your situation is. I think if you want to and if you feel like you want to work here, it's worth it.
Hmm.
If you if your goal is that no, I want to stay, like I want to work in India, then it's not worth it. I think it really depends on what you want. The value, the what I think worth changes for everybody. In my case, I was hired, so I didn't have the chance to study here. I got a job like after school and after college, and I did two internships, and then I landed a full-time job. So it just made sense for me. I also really wanted to. I think it was about the people that I wanted to work with. And if they were in India, I would have worked with them there. And I did that. Like I worked with a lot of people in India that I always wanted to work with. So I don't think it's really location specific.
It's about what you want, right?
Yeah, and I think I wanted to learn from different designers that I looked up to, and it was just where they were based at the time. So yeah.
The next question is, what do you do when you're having a creative slash art block?
Um, so I feel like I, as a person, have a creative side that flourishes when I'm in a flow state. I don't know if everyone's experienced this, but there's a time where things just align and you're just designing and it all feels like it's falling into place.
Hmm.
And then there are times when that's not happening. But what you can do is, as you keep doing design full time and like all the time, you'll realize that you don't have the option to not design when you don't feel like it. You can't. It's your job.
Right.
Um, but figure out how do you like, I think the just as human beings, we get tired of doing the same thing again and again, even if you like it. So try to
Hmm.
like break up your day in a way that in the morning you do a lot of your admin work, which could be like reading and like things like that. And then you have like design for the specific time that you do. But this is all like depends on your brief and your timeline. So you're changing up your day every day and like have input. Like as designers, we can't just keep producing. So have input in the form of looking at inspiration, looking at things that are not always graphic design. So because otherwise you'll feel empty. You'll feel like you have nothing to give after a point. Yeah.
Does input also include feedback, things like that?
Yeah. I mean, when I meant input, I meant like inspiration that, or like things that you get, that you take in, and then the work that you put out as your output. But yeah, feedback is great. And it's a part of the process. You can't not have feedback. Like you're not designing in vacuum. So yeah.
Um, okay. One question is about what should a graphic design portfolio look like? Isn't that very generic? I mean, depends on your work, I guess. But what is your take on that?
There's no right answer for that. Whatever you feel comfortable with and whatever you can maintain. So remember that as designers, your portfolio is kind of your face in the business. Like it's what people know you as, see first. So keeping it, and it depends on what kind of job you're in. Some people have to maintain it all the time. Some people can be in and like on and off. So if a PDF works better, PDF is good. If a website works better, website is good. Just make it accessible. When someone comes to your website, it's really hard to get people to open your website. When they come there, respect their time, make them find their work, make them find your information quickly. Like, don't make it a maze, don't make it tough. Just take them to your projects because that's what this really is about.
Yeah.
And then there's like, it should look like whatever the work you want to make looks like. If you want to get into type design, that should be in your portfolio. You want to get into UX, that should be in your portfolio. You want to get into branding, branding can be a more like overall, like it can be more open because different skills go into like a brand system.
Yeah.
But I think if you show even 5 to 6 really strong projects that you've done your best and that represents you at that moment, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be beautiful. You're not always going to like it. It's going to get old after a point. But in that moment, what represents you, go with that, I would say.
Okay. So, Mol, that brings us to the end of our live session
Okay,
today.
cool.
Thank you so much for joining in, and a big thanks to the audience for tuning in as well. This was a great session for me, and I learned a lot, and I hope the audience did too. Hoping to have you on another live soon.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you for having me and have a good weekend.
You too.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.